Oh, I'm on. I'm on. Okay, good. A lot more clarity. This looks good. This looks wonderful. This is perfect. This is what we was waiting on, family. Got it. Boom. Come on in. Let's get soul group time. They went back over to Facebook looking for me. They wondered what happened. Let's get back in. Yes, you're definitely in the right place. You're definitely in the right place. Tai Chi 360. Now, the reason I say adult conversation is because you can see what we're dealing with here, right? I'm going to be talking about the male, different body parts. Want to make sure that no one gets offended, make sure that we have the appropriate age group in the room. This video specifically for adult audiences only. We'll have some adult conversations. Just so we know that we're in the right place, right? So we're picking up. We're actually picking up. We're picking up from where we actually left off at, fam. It's what we call alchemical process. Now that may sound like a big fancy word to some people. Some people may be actually feel like they're in the wrong space, but don't let the terminology lose you, you know, because we use certain jargon in all different professions, right? But basically our alchemical process simply is talking about balancing these different energy centers. We call these energy centers. You see these 7 white highlighted spots, right? So in yoga, they have 7 that they talk about, and some specific modalities they may mention more than 7, a lot more. But these are the primary ones that they discuss. And Tai Chi, we discuss some similar ones as well. To me, this is life, balancing ourselves in these different areas, these 7 capacities, also known as chakras. You know, they call them as chakra wheels in the yoga field. In Tai Chi, we call them dantians, or like a collection, a place that the energy is collected or should be collected, because there can be leakage. There can be an excessive amount as well. There can be a blockage. So the whole science behind this is speaking in regards to balancing these different energy centers. And all of these energy centers are tied into not only our physical anatomy, but into our emotional body. You know, they're tied into our emotions, our energy body, our auric fields. You know, even science can show where every living being, organism has an aura or energetic field that can be researched very easily and supported by science. Well, according to the studies, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, and there may be some other studies as well, they look at these 7 energy centers on a very minute, fine, microscopic level. It's a science in itself, dealing with not only how we think, but how we eat, how we function in our daily lives. Each of these centers are represented with particular colors, particular seasons, different ailments in the body. You may be feeling bad because of certain energetic blockages, feeling different emotional states. But anyway, a very generalized idea that you will hear in regards to the balancing of these, or the study that deals with these energy centers, is known as inner, inside, like inner, INNER, inner alchemy. Right. So Tai Chi is an internal practice, an internal exercise. Internal could be the mental training, the meditation and motion. But it's also some physical things that we do as well, dealing with the different types of breathing exercises, different types of healing sounds. You know, all of these energy centers are actually represented by various organs inside of our body. So they're not just some small wheel or small energy center. You know, like this bottom one here, dealing with the root chakra, right? It's all inclusive, all of this, not just the little dot that you see, right? So the heart chakra is not just the heart, but it's the whole solar plexus. You get what I'm saying? So specifically, Tai Chi talks about heaven, man, and earth. They're talking about this, the balancing of the three primary dantians. As I said before, yoga uses 7. In our Tai Chi study, we talk about 3 primary ones. You can hear them referenced as the sky, the earth, and human, right? Human is in the middle, right? The sky is above, and then the earth is below, right? 3 levels, heaven, man, and earth. Same thing, different ways. The Qi, the Jing, the Shen, body, mind, and spirit. Different ways that you may hear this science, this alchemy, this internal alchemy. Now, just hearing and knowing the science or being familiar with the words is not enough, right? Just remember, just knowing or using the brain or using our mind, that's never going to get us there. We'll never quite get it that way. It has to be more. There has to be a practice. There has to be a how-to that's involved. So instead of talking about the lower dantian, the middle dantian, and the upper dantian, I wanted to focus specifically on the lower dantian or the lower chakra. Reason being is because if this lower dantian or lower chakra is not balanced, if we don't have balance, if we're not rooted, we don't have much at all. You know, a tree that doesn't have sufficient rooting system simply topples over or falls down very easily. Same thing goes for a building. If the building does not have the proper foundation, the proper rooting, the proper structure in place, that building is simply going to not withstand the elements. If you do have turbulent weather, such as a hurricane or tornado, the chances of that building or that structure actually being able to sustain those hurricane force winds is simply not as great as a building or as a person who has a strong foundation, strong rooting, strong grounding. Brother Rob, life content. Welcome, my brother. Come on in. Yeah, we just getting rolling here. Just getting rolling. Talking about balancing the dantians. Although there's 7 here, only talking about 3: the upper, the middle, and the lower. Specifically, I wanted to chime in on the lower dantian. Reason being is because the lower dantian deals with our rooting, you know, having a strong root, and we're going to get in on that. We're going to get right in on that. Now, one of the major problems that I see in the world right now is that most people, they are not rooted. They're not balanced. They're simply completely they're just out of control. They're out of control. Now, when I see such issues, I like to ask myself, why is it? Why? What is the root of this? What is going on? So it goes right back to the same principles, the same three principles that apply for us as individuals. It also applies to our whole society in general. The same principles, just on a larger scale. So society is not rooted, overstimulated, hyperstimulated, feeling as if they simply don't. A person is not rooted. When a person is not grounded, they'll always feel like they're living in a state of lack, in a state of not having enough, in a state of I need more, because that's the lower self. The lower self is, survival, right? Lower self is all about survival and procreation. Those are the main two things. How can I survive, and how can I keep the species continuing on? Those are inborn, those are innate characteristics. All of us share those. But remember, we must be balanced. So when people aren't balanced in the lower Dantian, they feel like there's not enough food. There's always a food shortage. I'm thinking maybe we need to learn how to actually do a little bit of fasting and not overindulge and not eat so much, to know when we have had more than enough. So I'm talking about balancing those chakras, right? When we fast sometime, we begin to realize that we have more than enough, that we aren't living in lack, that we aren't starving. Now, I'm not saying that some people aren't starving. Don't get me wrong, family. But most of us have more than enough. Our servings are way too large, but still yet we always feel like there isn't enough. See, this is a veil that has been cast on humanity's face, where people are feeling like they're living in a shortage. I'm expecting soon where there will be food shortages all across the world. I don't know why, but I feel like that's going to be the next thing that will be projected. Once again, the lower Dantian not being rooted, always feeling like it has to have more. We become an enemy of ourselves without even realizing it, family. Not enough food. Overindulgence, no balance. Overindulgence in drugs. We see that right now. Overindulgence. Drugs can be all kind of things. Drugs can be the things that we listen to, the things that we eat, things that aren't good for us, things that don't serve us well. Overindulgence, fam. We're being honest on this. Remember, I said adult conversation. Adult. That means keeping it real. So overindulgence in alcohol. Always feeling like we don't have enough. Need one more drink. One more drink, Bob. What about not enough women in our life? Not enough men in our life? Not enough sexual activity in our life? Because there's an overindulgence. You ever pay attention every time you turn on the television? Every time you turn it on, all of the advertisement, everybody is somehow displaying something sexual, whether it be their sexual preference or just showing their body. Everybody is displaying that. Have you noticed that? All of the music, promiscuous, everything. Why is that? Well, those things being advertised simply puts humanity back into, right back down here, family. Keeps you living here, and you're not able to elevate and have other parts of your world become a part of your reality, because everything is being based out of here. Survival. Gotta have more. Let me ask you this, fam. Why is it seen in our culture? Why is masculinity why is masculinity based off a characteristic or the trait of having multiple women, or being able to have sex as much as you can? Why is that? You ever thought about that? Why is it that young men such as myself go to college and they have a betting game on how many women they can get. Why is that seen as being masculine? Why? And then when you get just the opposite of that, you get the perfect gentleman, and he's being looked at as if he's less than a man. Everything is inside out and upside down, family. People who are doing the right thing are being looked at as if they're doing the wrong thing. People who are doing the wrong thing are looked at as if they're doing the right thing. Have you noticed that, fam? You see, first, we have to realize these things if we want to do better. We have to realize that. I remember when Sifu said to me, he said, son, and he always began by saying, son. He says, son, everything is inside out and upside down in this reality right here. And now it slowly but surely, it continues to unfold, and I can see what he was talking about a little bit more and a little bit more. Things begin to get a lot more clearer. So most of humanity, as I said, are living down here, fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system, stress, worry, fear, chronic stress, heart attack, right here. All this stuff is on the record, family. Record highs right now. But we know better because we have our hands on this information that has been passed down. But at one point, it wasn't passed down to the general people like us. This was information that was shared only amongst those who knew what they were doing, because by manipulating the way that things are done, they can contain you. You'll never reach your Superman or Superwoman. You'll never reach your Superman or Superwoman because you're contained down here by the five senses. Remember, I said none of this will make sense. None of this will make sense. What we're doing don't make sense. It's beyond the senses. So if you're letting your senses down here keep you down here, you're not beyond your senses because you're being controlled by your senses. We're focusing on this one today, fam. We're going in deep on that one, on the lower self. I call it the lower self. I mean, we're here to experience our complete self. We're here to experience everything. There's nothing wrong or nothing right. We are life. But we have to pay attention to what's going on. We should know our influences, family. So we're getting back into the inner alchemy training, right? The Qi. This is the Qi right here. Grounding. Food. This is our humanity right here. The Qi. We have the Qi, the Jing, and the Shen. I wanted to talk about the Jing, very specifically about the Jing. Now, most of the time when we hear about the Jing, we talk about the Jing being not Jin, but Jing, J-I-N-G. Maybe I should type that in. Actually, I will. I like typing. It's pretty cool. So here we go, fam. Jing. Am I typing in? There we go. Yes, I am. Boom. J-I-N-J. How's the audio, by the way? Can you hear me pretty good, fam? Because I made some changes here. The camera looks good, but how about the audio? Can you hear me pretty good? Let me know, fam. Okay, she said hey, Zeta. Soul Group, checking in. Hey, Mika, I'll talk to you later, but missed you yesterday at 5 p.m. Glad to see you here. So, yeah. So, I hope you all see what we're talking about. We're talking about the Qi, the Jing, 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 and the Shen, but focusing specifically on the Jing. And usually when we think of Jing, we're thinking in terms of our essence. Essence. So for a woman, because it's different from men and women, right? So for a woman, she would be concerned about losing her Jing specifically during ovulation, when she's producing eggs, ovulation, because she's actually sharing a part of her body, right? Actually sharing a part of her body to produce those eggs. And then not only during the time of ovulation, right? Women and men, there's a little difference, but all those different, still the same. So women during ovulation, remember these two times, and during childbirth. Oh, a woman gives a lot of herself during childbirth, a lot. Absolutely, without a doubt. She's supplying the baby all the nutrients during the development process. So here we have the mother's Jing being shared with the unborn baby during ovulation and during child developmental process. During the developmental process, while the fetus is growing up inside of the mother, during the pregnancy phase. Now, for a man, and this is what makes it a big challenge for the man. Because remember this, as humans, we have two things that are inbred into us, deep into our DNA: survival and procreation. Right. So here we are, men, not making an excuse for you. For those of you who are just going out and just putting your seed everywhere, putting your seed, spilling your seed all over the place haphazardly, because this is a major factor in regards to Qi, Jing, and Shen. If we don't build up, if we don't preserve our seminal fluid and our spermatic fluid, if we don't preserve that and we just spill it all over the place and use it haphazardly and not the way that it's supposed to be used, we can never go here, fam. It ain't happening. It's not going to happen. You can forget about it. And there's a number of reasons for that. A number of reasons for that. Energetically, as well as physically. So, with that being said and done, the inner alchemy training, the Nadon, we're dealing with our emotional state, our physical body state, and also the grounding of our sexual energies. Emotional health, physical and mental health as well, because you'll see how when you're spilling yourself all over the place, people be a little fidgety and not so confident in themselves because they have no control. Oh yeah, it's all tied in together, family. It's real deep. It's all tied in together. Emotional health, physical and mental health, and the grounding of our sexual energies. Right? Dealing with willpower. Dealing with willpower. So let's talk about it. And then I'm going to share with you some personal experiences that qualify me to share this information with you, because as always, I don't like to talk about information that I have not experienced, that I've only read in a book. You see, because before I started practicing these exercises, I wasn't able to bear, I'm not able to bear children, but the doctor told me my soldiers weren't swimming. My soldiers weren't swimming, that my sperm cells, They weren't adequate enough to produce any children. They weren't. The ones that were present were weak, and also the sperm count was very, very low. And I know why now. I'm willing to take personal accountability for it. Now, women, please don't feel out of place with this conversation we're having here, because this is adult conversation and we can share this information with everyone, you see, because to me, the most highest level of Tai Chi is the sharing of energy between the union of a man and a woman. You're getting ready to create life, right? That's why this energy is so precious. And the whole sexual relationship, the way that it's not even being taught to the children don't even know what it is. That's why it's being misused and abused. My family never talked to me about sex. It was a taboo. Don't talk about it. Yeah, we need to talk about it. We should be talking about it. But they didn't know how to talk about it because they didn't understand it. But yeah, we need to talk about it because pornography is killing our is just killing our young men. I talked to some of these young men about it because I was one of the young men. I was one of the young men. You see, we talk about no enemy, no conflict. But first of all, a lot of people, a lot of us, including myself, we don't realize that we have become our own enemy. We have become our own enemy without even realizing it. Because we are being overindulgent down here. Right down here. But we can live a life of infinite freedom. We were promised to have that. We can live a life of infinite freedom. And then there's unlimited possibilities. But we have to know the knowledge, and then knowing is not enough. Because knowing comes from the brain, from the mind. And if we have to think about it, we'll never get it. It has to resonate with you, family. That's why you have to open your heart chakra, you see, the middle dantian. Because the whole sexual intercourse, sexual relationship thing, it's all messed up, see, because people are having these relationships, and I was one of them, strictly out of lust. They don't even know what love is. They don't even know what love is. Because looking at these pornographies, these movies, these pornographic videos, that's not what it's supposed to be about, family. That's a movie. That's all a lie. And see, when you're watching it and when you're looking at it, your subconscious mind doesn't know that that's a lie. Although you may know it consciously, subconsciously, a whole nother thing is taking place, a whole nother lie. It thinks that this is the way it's supposed to happen. And then you go inside your bedroom and it doesn't happen that way. Nope. Time and time again. It doesn't happen that way. Consistently, it doesn't happen that way. What does that do for your inner being? Your inner being says that you're a loser. You're insufficient. Things aren't quite working right. What happens then? Your willpower goes down. Control is already down. Control is down already. You only last 2 or 3 minutes. Because you never experience a real orgasm. Because you think that a real orgasm takes place with your external organs, with your penis, and women with your vagina. No, a real orgasm takes place inside of the body. It involves your organ system. A real orgasm goes from your penis into your liver, from your liver into your lungs. From your lungs, it goes into your whole body. And then you can have multiples. And when you're finished, you don't feel depleted. You feel rejuvenated. This is a real talk, real adult conversation. Family, sorry. Misguided, misled, fam. And you know what inspired me to even go here with this conversation? I had 2 young men contact me. 2. who are struggling with pornography, and they know it. And they have beautiful women. One is married, one is not. I'll tell you how bad it is for the one. He's got it so bad, and I feel sorry for his wife. When they're making out, supposedly making love, he has a cell phone in his hand watching a pornography while he's intimate with his wife. Is that normal, family? Is that normal? That's not normal. That's not normal. Another thing, family, I've been in the medical field for 14 years, right? I've seen a lot of prostates, real live prostates, men having prostate problems. Don't you think that with the prostate, first of all, do you know your anatomy? Do you know that your prostate is actually the producer of the semen? Yeah, the prostate produces semen, right? Do you even know that? So with you always depleting your resources, because most of these men that I speak with, they can't go 3 days without masturbation. They can't go 3 days without depleting themselves. Well, do you know how long it takes to rejuvenate those spermatic cells inside your body? Do you know how much energy is inside of those strong, healthy sperm cells? A lot, family. Life is coming from that. That's you. That's you that you're spitting out on the ground and doing whatever with. That's your life. That's your life force energy, really. Now, when you can let that build up to an abundant amount, do you know that your body will reabsorb that? It will reabsorb that, and it goes back into your body for your wellness and for your health and for your well-being, instead of spitting it all over the place as if it's nothing. See, now you got to honor yourself a little more. When you honor yourself more, you don't want to do that anymore. I'm not saying you're going to go cold turkey and just stop. But I do hope that this conversation helps somebody start loving themselves a little more. And by honoring yourself a little more, when you get that urge to have a session, masturbation, go practice. Use that same energy for something else. Stop it right then and there. As soon as the urge comes on, you can stop it. Because your mind, you can just switch the channels. I'm telling you what I do to get by. Switch the channel. Go train. Go train. And then you have to start looking at yourself and saying, why does this urge come up? When does this urge come up? What is sparking this urge? We have an adult conversation. Adult conversation. And we're talking more about preserving the Jing and how the Jing can be lost. So from overindulgence, not using retention. So you learn how to use retention, and you can be taught how to do it. You can be taught how to do it, but you have to have a partner who, first of all, you have to love each other. So there has to be a connection, and it's not just something to do, right? Because you honor yourself, and then you and that person work together as partners, and both of you experience something the way that it's meant to be experienced, the wonders of the bond between a man and a woman, the right man and woman, not just anyone. So it's got to be right. Maybe that person's not right. Maybe it's built off something that's not real. I don't know. So you have retention, recirculation. When you master that, then you can have multi-orgasms, real orgasms that are whole body and not just external, coming from our sexual glands. That's very low level, and it only lasts a few seconds. It only lasts a few seconds and it's gone. And then you go through a phase where you feel depleted and you crash down. We're talking truth, right? So when you learn how to master, because this, believe it or not, was seen as an art at one time as well. When you learn how to master yourself, control yourself the way that you should, The prostate, now remember, I said the prostate produces, right? It produces semen, not the sperms itself, but the semen that the sperm are inside of. So this prostate, if it's always producing, it's, first of all, it has been used way too early, because most men who I talk to, they started watching pornography at very young ages before the prostate was ever developed. So the prostate is immature, haven't even reached adulthood yet. Nope, immature. That's the first problem with the prostate. You haven't let it mature yet, and you started using it way too early. Remember, I said I work in the medical field for 14 years. I see thousands of prostates, men, prostates are no good, burn out for a lot of different reasons. Immature, overused, and underdeveloped. Three things: immature, overused, underdeveloped prostates. Saggy. The prostate is just saggy. These are the things that I've seen with my own eyes. A lot more than ever. I think it's tied into everything else, family. I like to look around and see what's going on. I think it's tied in to being overused and being used prematurely. How about now, not to even mention the food has all type of stuff in it, but look at the women right now, the young girls. I say women. They're not even women yet. Look at them. Overly developed at such a young age. It's all tied in, family. The hormones are way out of whack, fam. So once you learn how to master yourself and you get your willpower back and you don't feel like a loser, and you can learn how to do multiple things with your prostate, see, because the prostate is a pump, but it can pump outward, but it can also pump inward. See, now we're getting into the alchemy practices. Now we're getting into this. Now this is where you need to have a teacher. We'll just brush over this briefly. This is where you should have a teacher to teach you how to do these things, how to move the energy in the body. We've talked about the microcosmic orbit. That's one small part of it. That's moving the energy in one circle of rotation, which is good for the whole body. But in order to do what we're talking about doing, there's certain exercises that need to be incorporated, a certain amount of certain exercises, because now we're talking about the prostate not pumping outward, but actually pumping back in. And then the energy begins to rise up towards the top, is reabsorbed into the body. This is what they're talking about, the qi being stored into the bones. This is it. But this is the part that most men, they never get there. Some read about it. They know about it. They'll argue to you about it. But ask them if they've ever done 30 days of practice personally. And I guarantee you most of them haven't, because they don't have the discipline. They'll talk about it, but they don't overstand it. Remember, understand, understand, and overstand? They don't understand it either because they hadn't done it. They certainly don't overstand it because they don't own it at all. So y'all picking me up, fam? And most of my men, I mean, be honest with you. Be honest with me. We talk, this is adult conversation. When that prostate pumps out, right, there's a decline. There's a refractory period. A refractory period. A state where there's, forget about a state of having peak performance. The state of peak performance is completely gone. Now, this state of peak performance that was once there and it's already gone down because you're into that refractory period, even emotions come down during that time, become irritable. You may not even know it. Now, this can last for an amount of days, family. Days. They say about 3 days before it turns around, before you go from a depleted stage to where the body starts to build back up the reservoir again. 3 days. But most men don't even make it 3 days now. Ain't that sad? Ain't that sad, family? Let me refill. Isn't that sad? They don't make it for 3 days before they have to watch another pornography movie and they have to take care of themselves. That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. So that means that they're living in that in the refractory state because they're always going back down again. Always going back down again. How are you gonna go up? How? Please tell me how. Make a video, share with me. Make a video and share with me, please. Family, y'all follow me? I know I went off. So here we are studying a very serious adult conversation, the science of actually refining our own personal energy. Refining our personal energy. You know it's adult conversation, but a lot of us should be shared with our children. But it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because I'm looking, and society is pumping out all the wrong information to our children, family. They are. Let's be honest. If we're going to refine our personal energy and cultivate and balance our sexual energy, everybody should know about that. But the wrong thing's being taught. My parents wouldn't even talk to me about it. It was like, don't talk about it. So there you are already, starting out as a young kid. You have that seed planted in your head that it shouldn't be talked about. So that's why we don't even talk about it with our own loved ones. It's a conversation that we don't even have. Shouldn't we be talking about that with our loved ones? Huh? I know I had to. I let you know right away what I'm doing, and I don't spill myself all over the place. If you can't respect that, you're not the partner for me. You're not the partner for me, man. I love myself too much and to spill myself all over the place. We cannot grow family. I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this little saying right here. Feel free to type it in or whatever. Write it down. It's an affirmation. It's an affirmation that I want to use quite a bit, and I still go back to it. It goes, I cannot grow. I cannot grow from an unsteady foundation. That's a good place for some people to get a start. I cannot grow from an unsteady foundation. So we're talking about the root chakra. That's why I like to run that parallel. The base. We're talking about coming from the bottom, right? And working up. Working up. Because to me, in all reality, we're already whole. We're already whole. We're already oneness. But we are oneness experiencing life in various capacities. We are oneness. We are wholeness experiencing life in various capacities. We're here to experience. We are life. Everything we do is life. We create life. You get what I'm saying? But how do we better our experience while we're here? Well, we can't get trapped into this dusty world. We can't get trapped into the dusty world, and it's very dusty. So let's think about back to the gene. The moment that prostate releases, right? The mind says, mission complete. The mind is thinking that it has done what is necessary in order for procreation to exist. Mission complete. I procreated. We're talking about the refractory period. This is why the refractory period happens. Goes into a state of relaxation for several days. There's no, forget about peak performance. Forget about that. Because this is simply state of suppression. There's brain fog. The brain's a little foggy now. The clarity is just not the same. Why do you think boxers, before they have the big fight, they go through a stage where they don't touch any women at all? They get away. This is the traditional way. Now, some people violate. But yeah, they get away. Why? This is why. The brain fog. It's all scientific. The lack of clarity. Now imagine if you're always putting your body inside of that. You're going down. You keep going down. No wonder you're moody and depressed. No wonder you can't attract any women. You know why you can't attract any women or the opposite sex? Because the opposite sex can feel your energy. You're depleted. The opposite sex is attracted toward someone who is powerful enough. Remember, procreation. The body, the human nature, is attracted towards something that can contribute towards procreation. If your body is physically weak, a strong, powerful body that is ready to procreate will simply not be attracted to you at all. Forget about it. This is science. This is simple science. Not my science, it's nature. Right. They are simply attracted to the energy, the stronger energy, male or female. That's the way it works. Not to the false persona, but to the energy. The energy is real. They can feel you. But if you're depleted, you're never going to get any woman. You keep running home and take care of yourself. I'm just telling you what's real. Because it happened to me. I went 2 years, fam. 2 years initially. And not knowing, because I did not know. But I was told that with great power comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. I didn't know what the great power was. Talking about the energy. When you build up your energy, you're going to become very attractive. Very attractive. Very attractive. 2 years, fam. Became very attractive. I'm talking about a fly searching for, I thought it was just coming off of me, just radiating, because it was coming at me from all angles. But I didn't know. I had no idea. But when you look back at yourself, you can see, because my energy changed. Realistically, it changes. So you may go from being infertile to being fertile because you've built up your reservoirs. The soldiers have become strong. They're able to swim now. They've multiplied themselves as well. No longer a low count anymore. But now, as I said, you've built that up. You honor that. You have to have the responsibility of using that energy wisely, or the energy will use you. And you'll be depleted again, right back in the same loop. Right back in the same loop. Trust me, family. Y'all mighty quiet out there. I got your attention on this, huh? I told you it was a dope conversation, but you can't tell me that it's not right on point. It's simple science, but it makes sense, don't it? So let's talk about 30 days. Let's say you just happen to get past the first 3 days. You finally made it past 3. 3's been a struggle because every 3 days you've been going at it, sometimes multiple times. But now you made it past 3. Hell, you made it up to a whole week now. 7 days have gone by. Ooh, you're starting to feel better now. You know why? Because after about 7 days, homeostasis begins to set in. The balancing begins to settle back in. But 7 days, most people don't make it that long, family. These are conversations we had behind the lines. I'm not calling no names. But yeah, they can't go for 7 days. But let's say they make it for 7 days. Homeostasis begins to come in. Also, vitality begins to rise. This is why the boxer sets itself in isolation, away from all of that. Don't have time for it because it's going to take me into the refractory period. But after 7 days, energy rises. Oh, now the energy is coming back. Life is being restored. So now I'm going to give you a warning at this point so that you don't get knocked off the path. Increase your physical training. That's why the boxers are beating on the bag. But if you're not doing something physical, riding a bike, jumping around, doing something physical, not moderately physical. I'm talking about physical, a lot more physical than you do right now because you're coming out of a refractory period. You got to amp up the physical activity because now your energy is way up there, family. I'm telling you now. Go ahead and put in the work. Start doing some kicks, Tai Chi kicks. This is just 7 days. Give yourself at least 30 days, family. As I told you, I went 2 years without even with no sweat. Well, in the beginning, it was a little tough. I'm doing a bid right now. I'll talk to you about it a little later. So let's say you make it past the first week. You're on day 8, 9. The second week. You're on the second week now. I need to get some hot water here, fam. Energy level is going to continue to rise. But also, you continue doing your physical training. Don't let that down, please. Be cautious and be aware of your environment. Remember, I'm sharing with you things that I wasn't aware of before. But now I'm giving you some things to look out for. It's going to help make your trip a lot easier. We're talking about walking all the way up to the top. All the way up to the top. I'm simply a guy. I'm going to help you. So here we go. Intensive training. Start doing some squats. This is a good time to start doing some squats. No weight, body squats. Start doing squats, family. Start doing cardio. Because now, see, with these squats and your cardio, now you're building back your willpower again. You're getting back your willpower now. Now you're starting to feel good about yourself again. Yes. Remember I said we have to change our personality to change our reality. Here we are changing our personality. We're changing our personality. Willpower is strong now. And you can feel it all through your body, family. It radiates. Who was that? I was thinking of a quote by Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. He talked about, I don't remember, so I'm not going to mess it up. It was something talking about the mind, changing the reality and the personality. I think that was his quote, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. So here you are now, you're radiating. Remember we talked about the auric field? So now your aura has completely changed. Your aura is coming all outside of your body now because you're holding on to your life force energy. I hope you realize how serious that life force energy is. I hope I put enough into that to make you feel how serious it is. It's you, family. It's nothing you want to be spitting into a toilet, into a sock, into a dirty sock. You just wipe yourself up with a dirty sock. Come on, family. We got to love ourselves. We got to embrace ourselves. That's foolishness. Ain't nothing normal about that. There's nothing normal about it. So now, family, now that your energy is changing, now I'm just walking you through how it worked for me because I only share my own experiences. So now here you are, you're becoming not only attractive on a personal level, but man, your business relationships beginning to look more attractive. Did you hear that? Your business relationships are starting to look more attractive now. All of your relationships are beginning to look a lot more attractive now. Everything starts changing because your whole being has changed, family. All that comes out of us. You know, we start out doing these things we shouldn't be doing behind closed doors as children, hiding. We're already thinking that we're not doing something that's right. So every time you have that relationship with yourself, masturbation, you already know it's not right. You don't feel right about it. So what is that doing for your character? Adult conversations now. I'm just giving you what's real. Maybe someone hadn't shared this with you. Nobody shared it with me, but I experienced it. So you make it to 3 weeks, 15 days. Oh, you feeling like Superman now. You running a mile every day. You glowing. You got the glow. You got that soul glow going now. 3 weeks. At this point, remember I talked about reabsorption into the bones? Right. So now the body starts to reabsorb the excessive accumulation because there's an abundant amount there. And only the best ones will remain. The ones that aren't as good, they slowly but surely get reabsorbed and recycled, and they come out stronger. So they begin to get stronger, the spermatic cells themselves. Because only the survival of the fittest even remains on that level, family. You only want the best to make it through. If you keep spitting everything out and it don't get a chance to develop, I mean, come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. So now we feeling powerful. I'm talking about down to our cellular level, the bones, right? Now, family, your business relationships are on point. You can begin to actually align with life purpose. You become more creative. You become more psychosocial. You become more psychosocial, meaning that basically when you look at women now or men, they're no longer sex objects. They're people. They're real live people. It's not something that you have to have sex with. More psychosocial. Right. Because you begin to honor yourself, you honor others. You see how this thing works full circle? Because now, family, now all of these have become one. You're living in oneness now. You're living in oneness now. And this is the oneness that you want to share in the union of man and woman, not something that's half broken down and not gonna produce well. We're talking adult conversations now. I hope we're not going in too heavy for you. We're talking adult conversations, fam. So, getting back to the Jing, and this is going to wrap it up. This is going to wrap it up. Wrap it up. Ejaculation. If you take anything with you, take this with you out of this whole conversation. This will keep us in tune. Ejaculation is not the goal of sex. I'm going to say it again. Ejaculation is not the goal of sex. And I'm going to piggyback off that just a bit. You see, because the goal, if you live in righteous, now, if you're not living righteous, that means you're not in balance. We're all working on being righteous, hopefully, or you won't be here listening to this conversation. That's the whole reason for the alchemical process. Remember that, right? The science of refining one's personal energy and also cultivating and balancing sexual energy. That's the whole reason of this conversation. So, with that being said, the purpose is not ejaculation for pleasure. Not just to be thrown around. The purpose is for, don't take this out of context because I'm going to break it down. The purpose is for the pleasure of having true power. And I said it, I'll say it again. The purpose is for having true pleasure of true power. True power. Now, true power is this right here. This is true power. It has nothing to do with taking advantage of anyone else. That's the wrong type of thing. If you're thinking that, you're in the wrong place already. True power is, I'll break power down for you so you can get this. You won't see it in the dictionary this way. The P is proper, The O is operation. We're talking about power. Proper operation with internal, meaning inside, internal rule. That's true power. Not having power or domain or control over anyone else, because we don't have that type of ability at all. Proper operation with eternal rule. That's what you'll get from the unification of man and woman. It's a pleasurable power that cannot be compared to just having sex. Our center of awareness grows on an astronomical level. Our center of awareness grows on an astronomical level. And we all have our own ideal frequencies. Let's tap into our true powers, family. Let's tap into our own self, family. The true self is a lot more than what's down here. Once we get beyond this and we come into oneness, not saying we'll ever completely figure it out, but simply by using this type of information, this type of knowledge, and applying it to our lives and figuring out why we're having the struggles in our life and how we can remove those struggles, because we're all going through the same stuff, family. It's part of being a human. It's pretty funny because remember, I talked about, as humans, our innate being wants to procreate. Well, first we survive and then procreate, family. And those two things can turn in. Oh boy, look like we're getting kicked off. I see it keep stalling. We're going to sign off here in a minute. But family, those two things can be a detriment to us as well. Because if we have an overindulgence down here, thinking that we'd never have enough food, enough money, enough material things, enough sex, enough alcohol, enough of whatever it may be, it becomes an overindulgence. So we're no longer grounded. This is just for grounding. But on the opposite side of that is basically living in a point where you think you don't have enough, becoming a hoarder of so many things, and things that don't serve us well. Anyway, fam, I'm going to check out. I hope y'all enjoyed the live stream. I'll upload it. Go run, tell somebody about this, because there's a lot of men. This is more directed more towards men, but women, I'm sure you got something out of it as well. Stories. Personal stories. I'll talk more about how the practice has actually influenced my life more. I'm an open book. If you know the extension of the person you're calling, you may dial it at any time. To reach the sales department, please press 1. So I'll chat with y'all later, fam. I love you all. That was a good, interesting dialogue. I love you all. Heart to heart. Heart to heart. Embrace. If you know the extension of the person you're calling, you may dial it at any time. To reach the sales department, please press 1. To reach the service department, please press 2. Disturbing my hug there. All right, fam. Talk to y'all later. A lot of people talk about it. Yeah.